Hey, what's up? I'm Bo Althen. Today we're doing a chopper check on Tyler's 1949 Panhead.
What's up?
How's it going?
Good. Happy to be out in Denver.
Yeah, we're here on site, my backyard. What are you doing out here?
Well, we had a couple weeks to spare before we released clothes again, and wanted to come out here to actually pull this bike apart and throw it in a different roller.
Sweet. So how much longer is it going to look how it does now?
Anywhere between 24 hours and 24 days, I guess.
Right on, right on. So how long, I know this is maybe version 3 as I know it. I know there's been a lot of smaller versions in between, but I think this is, as far as I know, how long has it been like this?
So I put it in the red frame in January of last year, so 11 months, I guess. But I pulled the whole bike apart in probably like 2 years ago, and then kind of let it chill for like a year, and then I built this bike, but I had it painted green, or I painted it green, and I really hated it, and then tore it down, repainted it, and all I did was change like the risers and the sissy bar and turned it red, and then yeah, I've been running it like that ever since.
Sick. Do you want to talk a little bit about some of the past versions, or just, where you got the motor from?
Yeah. So, I bought the bike from Cody Kemet of Hawg Supply in January of 2018, and it was actually his bike that was the People's Champ build a couple years ago. And yeah, he built that for the People's Champ. It had like this purple frame with like this white splattered paint all over it, and then like probably like a 14 or 16 over Springer on like a stock rake, and just like this ridiculous like 5-foot sissy bar, and like chrome wassail tank, like a chrome low tunnel wassail tank, and then a chrome fender. And then yeah, we actually had a guy that used to finance old motorcycles, so I put 0 down and got like a 7% rate or something on it. And
how'd you do that on such an old motor?
I don't know, man. This guy, just as long as he could get the titles, he was able to work some magic, and all of a sudden you were able to get a loan on the bike.
Right on.
Yeah, so I paid like $300 a month for like 4 years to have a Panhead. But yeah, it started out like that. I rode it around that way from Cody for a little bit, and then he bought this red bike out of Fresno that was like this long bike, and they called it Big Christmas, and it had a generator shovel in it, and like probably like a 22 over front end or 24 or something, and then like king and queen, like these like ridiculous bars. And Cody hit me up and was like, hey dude, I just bought this bike, do you want to go pick it up? And I was like, not really, like Fresno's like, like 4 hours away. And he just like Venmo'd me gas money and was like, cool. And I was like, all right, well, I guess I have to go pick it up. So then I picked it up, and he was still in North Dakota at the time, and I was riding it around a bunch, and I like literally like I picked it up and we rode it to the bar like that night, and I was like, dude, I want this bike. Like this feels like it should be mine, and then he ended up just sight unseen, like flying to LA, riding it up to Canada, and then riding down to Mexico, and then to Born Free, and like just doing the most ridiculous trip on it, like so sick. And then after that, he kind of pulled the bike apart a little bit, and I remember he was like trying to get it ready for Chopper Fest, and he scored this like 30 over like original Denver Springer that he put on it and some other stuff, and he was trying to get ready for Chopper Fest. And then I actually went over, I want to say it was Christmas Day or Christmas Eve, and we had joked about trading and stuff, and then I was, dude, let me ride that thing, like whatever. And then we ended up, like, I rode it, and I was like, dude, I'm like, let's trade rollers, whatever. Yeah. And he was super down, which was really cool. So after having the purple bike with the splatters for like a year, Cody and I traded rollers, and he had just gotten into his shop in Santa Ana at the time. I had him make me these like ridiculous bars for it that they were kind of like old digger bars that you'd see in like a magazine on like an xlch or something. Like they kind of like came back and then curved like 15 or like 30 degrees each way, and like they just hurt your wrist really bad. Yeah, and I ran it like that from 2019 until I pulled it apart at the end of 21, I guess.
Nice.
So, yeah, I guess 2-3 good years on it.
I was going to say, that had a couple, like, small versions.
Like, yeah. Like, I'd put, like, 3 or 4 different sissy bars on it, and, like, I had 3 different pairs of pipes on it. Like, I just had, like, upsweeps, and then I had upsweeps with mufflers, and then I had these, like, upsweeps that went, like, kind of like bird shooter style, and they were sick because they were off a raffle bike that Grossman raffled and Kramer won. Then I went over to Kramer's and I bought them from them. But they were cool because, like, they weren't slip-ons. Like, whoever made them just welded them all together. So, like, there was no point where, like, you know, normally with the upsweeps, though, like, you have to have clamps and, like, they slip on and, like, whatever. Like, this was just, like, from the head of the rear cylinder to the top was just one pipe. And it was, like, it was so rad. Yeah, they were fully chromed. Yeah. Like, they were super sick. And then I changed, like, my handlebars to, like, some more ergonomic ones that were just kind of, like, T-bars. And I had, like, Moto X bars on them. But we just welded risers, like, into my top clamp. Like, just, like, perfect. Yeah, laid a weld around them. Chopper style, yeah. Yeah, and then that bike, I got hit on that bike on the 4th of July in 2019, so a couple months after we had gotten it on the road, and I was on the 5 North, and it was like midnight the night before 4th of July, and we were going to ride to Mammoth the next day, and like I didn't even know what was going on, and I had my foot on top of the like rocker clutch, and I was just riding, and I was in the right lane, and like there were all these you know when there's construction on the freeway, how they just drop those like pieces of steel that are like 40 feet long. Yep. Like they had like 4 of those in a row, and with the Springer it kind of started bouncing, so I went from like 75 and dropped it to like 50 or whatever, and like I didn't hit the brakes or anything, I just let off the throttle a little bit, and there was somebody like, I don't know, I guess somebody was behind me or whatever, and like took out my clutch hub, like their bumper must have hit my clutch hub, like ripped my clutch hub off, and then my foot peg, it was like connected to like where the forward control mount is, like completely went 90, but my foot was resting on the lee pedal, so like I didn't get hit or anything. Yeah, but like, so my bike was like stuck in 4th, and then I like didn't go down. It was like the craziest, like I was riding, my bike was like packed up for the trip, like sleeping bag and everything, and like I just like heard the craziest sound and then got like a violent wobble and was so confused. And then when I looked up, there was like just like some sedan that was going like crossing all 4 lanes, like just accelerating, like no stop, anything. And that was the only car on the road. It was like midnight. And I like looked down and saw that like that was all bent. And then, yeah, like, yeah, my clutch pedal or my clutch hub, like the 5 fingers, like all the bolts were sheared, like off of the 5 fingers. Like it was crazy. And like somehow I just like stalled it out on the shoulder and like didn't drop the bike and was just like so terrified. Yeah. And then I called my roommate at the time. Shouts out Michael Ortman, who was playing video games and not answering his phone for 2 hours. We'll get him on here one day, though. We'll talk about his, he has the best Evo Sportster on earth. And then the second time I got hit on that bike, or I didn't get hit, I crashed. I was riding to Born Free to like the pre-party in 21, and it was the Born Free they did in like October or whatever. Like they randomly did one later because of COVID or something. And it was like the pre-party for that. And I was just riding, and I was getting on the 55 from the 91, like about to get off, and I just like felt like my back tire just like fully exploded. And I've like had flats, but I've never had like a full blowout. Yeah. And I just like had no idea what to do. And I kept it up for like, I don't know, like 100 or 150 feet or whatever, but I was going probably like 65, and I was able to slow down to like 15 or 20 miles an hour. And then like it started, like the bike started going into the lane next to me, and like I didn't know if there were cars coming or not, and I was like, okay, like I could ride it out, but I'm not going to be able to control it, and I don't want to get smoked by like a car coming on the left. So I just like low sided it, but then when it hit my clutch hub, it like high sided, and I like front flipped over the bike, like kind of like landed on my butt and like stood up, and like when I turned around, like the whole freeway was stopped, and like 3 people ran out of their cars, and like my bike was like stuck in gear and everything, and we had to like lift it and take it to the shoulder, and it ended up being like totally fine.
Dang.
Like
the bike was?
Yeah,
and
like
you were?
I mean,
everything?
Yeah, nothing was bent. Yeah, like
Yeah.
I mean, my tank got like a little bit dented because my handlebars turned and went into it, but like, yeah, my front end wasn't bent. Like everything was totally good on it. And then my shoelaces ripped and like my ankle was bleeding, and like that was it. And I try to like pretty much always wear boots when I ride now, because that like I don't want to get smoked, and like I don't know, it was just funny because I was wearing Vans that day, and it's
the
like
one day,
the one day it's like of course. And then I took it back to the shop and let it chill for like a couple months, and then I don't even remember like.
Did you ride it again after that? Or was that kind of...
That was the last ride.
That was the last
yeah,
ride.
that was the last ride. Like, it sat in the shop with a flat tire for, like, a couple months just sitting there. And, like, I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I'd always kind of wanted, like... I had built my Sportster around that same time. Like, I let the bike chill, and then I finished my Sportster that I had been building, like, on the back burner forever.
Yeah.
And I kind of, like... I don't know, with the Panhead, like, the first bike, it was, like, Cody's bike that he built, and then the other bike was, like, the Survivor, and I kind of wanted to, like, build a bike, I guess, or, like, put my own thought or, like, creative taste into something. So...
Did you have any big, like, creative, like, did you draw from anywhere, really, from this bike, or was it just kind of a lot of something you had cooking in your mind, or...
So, I think the intention of it was that I wanted to kind of build like a 60s California-esque bike that didn't have a wassail tank and a stock springer.
Yeah.
Or upsweeps. Yeah. That was like the big thing, because I feel like, I mean, now everybody likes wide glides and T-bars and like drag pipes and like Sportster tanks, but like 3 or 4 years ago, everybody in California liked short front ends with like whatever bars and then upsweeps and like wassail tanks. Like it's like that was just it.
It's so hard to do something different.
Yeah, and like
so that's cool to try to challenge yourself that way when building it.
Yeah, that was kind of like the main focus, was that I wanted to do something that was like a stock length, and then just whatever my like taste or style would be on it. And it kind of went through some versions. Like I bought it's like a V-twin wishbone frame, and I bought the frame, and I didn't know what I wanted to do exactly, and I traded the Springer that I had to Cody for this front end. He bought it for me, and this was like complete, like wheel, front end, everything. And then I took the frame to my buddy Canyon's shop, and I wanted to just have him like cut all the mounts out. And then we were like chilling at his shop, and he was building this 67 generator shovel that was deraked 3 degrees. And I was looking at it, and he was like almost done with it. And it was like, he hadn't painted it yet, but like the motor was in, and like you could see what the bike was, you know? And like, I kept looking at it, and he's like, dude, you want me to derake your frame today? And I was like, yo, like, yeah, like let's do it. It'll be sick. So just on a whim, he just like cut the neck, ripped it, deraked it to 27 degrees, and then he was like, dude, should we add like some stuff to the legs? And I'm like, yeah, dude, like let's do it. And then, because my whole thing is that I really wanted to plate in the country bar, but I wanted to leave kind of the castings. Because like sometimes when you fully plate it in, it just looks like thick. It's
really
like
big.
so large, and like it's kind of an eyesore. But I liked the idea. Like I like Bodywork. Like I like old sport bikes with like fairings, and like any sort of bodywork on choppers like gets me going, you know? So yeah, Canyon got all hyped, and like he plated that in for me, and then he helped me like cut off the sidecar loops, and then added those like triangles, and then he laid like the first thing of Bondo on one of the legs and kind of like showed me the ropes, and then was like, all right, dude, go for it.
Nice.
And then that was January of last year. And then I spent, from January to, I don't know, September is really when I started thinking about it. I was just lightly bondoing like once a week, once every 2 weeks, sometimes every day, 1 week. Like, yeah, so it took me a long time, and it sucks. Like, I totally get why everybody says not to do Bondo, because it is awful.
Yeah.
Like, your fingers hurt. It's really difficult. Like, I'm not very meticulous and, like, not great with tools, and I'm just generally, like, that. Like, it's not really my jam. Yeah. So it took a lot longer than it should. And then it kind of sat for a while, and I had, like, the front end on it and, like, the wheels on it and the D-rake and the tank. And I didn't know what else I wanted to do. And I wanted, like, to do, like, Panhead risers with, like, just, like, some motocross style bars. And I had it mocked up like that as the roller forever, but it just didn't get me going. Like, I don't know, I just didn't like the way that it felt or the way that it looked. And then, like, these ape hangers were just chilling at the shop. And I was like, dude, I wonder how those would look. And I had, like, these small stock Panhead risers, like the 3-inch ones. And I put them on, and, like, sat down and, like, went like that. And then Cody and Pookie were at the shop, and they were both like, yeah, that's it. And it, like, totally reinvigorated me.
Yeah. That is, like, the perfect bend of just a high, like, almost like, I mean, just that 60s style, like, just classic look. That's, like, it looks right.
And then, yeah, I just, like, once we got the bars on, I was like, damn, I want to build a bike. Like, I'm trying to get this done. Like, what the hell am I doing? It was, like, the end of summer, which is, like, the worst time.
Yeah.
And then I ended up, we got everything together. And I didn't know what color I wanted to do. And for some reason, I just really wanted a green bike. And I was like, dude, I'm going to do everything green. Like, green oil bag, green toolbox, like, the whole shit. And my buddy Jan had came down from the Bay Area. He, like, rode his bike down and was, like, sleeping on our couch for a little bit, just chilling. And he ended up, I fully, like, so thankful, but he ended up, like, finishing up the Bondo in, like, 3 or 4 spots, like, around the axle plates, and then, like, a little bit where the seat post was, and, like, a little bit in the front of the bike. Like, I was at work one day, and he was just chilling, like, finished up the Bondo, and then he actually, like, sprayed the first coat of the green for me. Like, I had gotten it mixed at, like, a paint store and everything, and then he sprayed the first coat, and I was like, whoa, like, sick. Yeah. And then we ended up finishing it all, like, that night or the next night, and then assembled it. And then, rode it on DVR that year when you came out and rode my dyna.
I've got to ask really quick. Did you know or think about at all the bad luck with painting a bike green?
Dude,
did it cross your mind?
It crossed my mind, but I was kind of just like I'm not really, like, a superstitious person, but honestly, so it was green, and it was literally up for, I finished it beginning of October, and end of November I pulled it apart. Like, I got, like, 7 weeks on it. Yeah. And, like, I don't know. I just, for some reason, every time I looked at the bike, I just got angry. I don't know what it was. Yeah. And, like, it must be the green.
I've known 2 people with green Harleys, 2 people in my whole life, and they both wrecked them.
It's true what they say.
Yeah, I've heard it since I was, like, maybe 3-4 years old. Like, can't paint a Harley green. But I just had to ask because, I mean, some people aren't superstitious. Some people don't give a fuck. I've been seeing a lot more bikes that are getting a little more wild, getting closer to that green color. But I had to ask. Yeah.
No, I didn't. I mean, honestly, it gave me, I just hated it. I just thought it was so ugly. Like, I don't know why. And then I pulled it apart, and I didn't know, like, I don't know. I didn't know what I was going to do. And I was at AutoZone, like, getting parts or something. I was with Pookie and with Jan. And I just looked, like, I just saw, like, red high-temp engine enamel. And I was like, dude, I've never seen a red chopper I didn't like. Yeah. Like, I can't think of a red bike that I didn't like, no matter what. Like, it's like, even if the bike is awful, the red is the saving grace. Yeah. So, yeah, I ended up just spraying it. I don't know, gave it, like, 4 or 5 coats. I just, like, the green is still totally under there. I just, like, I just gave it a little bit of sandpaper, went over it with, like, I don't even know what grit, like 400 or something, and just scratched it up a little bit. Sprayed the engine enamel on the whole thing. Put a chrome oil bag I used to have on it, and then put that sissy bar on it. I had like a taller sissy bar on it, but I wanted the short one. And then I had the same pipes on it, but then a couple months after finishing it, I put this 2-into-1 on it. And it's the first time I've ever had a muffler on a Harley.
Yeah, it's really quiet. I love a quiet bike.
I love it. You've always said that for years.
I love a quiet bike.
Yeah, and I definitely get the quiet bike thing now, but I can just hear, like, I don't know, my motor is pretty loud right now, so I could definitely hear that.
Has that motor been gone through since you bought it from Cody way back?
We did a top end when I put the green bike together.
Okay.
And since then, it probably has like 3,000 or 4,000 miles on, maybe a little more. I don't know. I don't know how many miles it has
do you
on
keep
it.
track of it, like through tires or just kind of guesstimates through trips or?
No, that rear wheel is about dusted though.
Okay.
The rear tire, and I've had that.
Yeah, that's.
And I went through a whole set of rear brakes, I guess.
I'm not sure how long rear brakes last.
Yeah.
Depends on how hard
I don't know how long they last either, but yeah, I mean, should I go over like some technical?
Yeah, I mean, do you have any like really cool stories how you found parts or stuff you're super stoked on, or maybe just kind of go from front to back and just kind of walk us through it, because there's
nothing too like, I really like the little like unique accessories and like the small things on the bikes, but they're like, I don't know, for some reason or another, I never find myself wanting to like actually spend money on them, or like, I don't know, I find it really difficult, and I'm not super great at taking care of my stuff either, so it's like for instance, like I've never had foot pegs on it, and then now like at the shop, like Cody literally makes foot pegs, but then like I've always said you don't need them, and then I want some, but like I can't do it, you know, because I've not had them for so long. But yeah, I wanted a 19 in the front because I've always liked the way 19s look. I've never really been a very big fan of 21s. I just think like they look neat, and then I thought like the 19 comboed with the D-rake would make it still sit where I wanted it.
Yep.
I've always liked 16s in the rear. I've never had anything else on any bike.
That's the perfect rear tire.
Yeah, it's just,
I don't have one on my bike, but I think that is the perfect rear tire, is a 16.
absolutely.
That's what it's supposed to be. What about those risers?
It's pretty standard. Yeah, I bought the risers from some dude on Instagram, and they were for 7/8, and we just tightened them down and put them in the drill press with a 1-inch bit.
Nice.
And I didn't even realize like there was a bunch of spacers on one side, and when I was like mocking it up, I didn't even realize that like one of the risers is like a quarter or a half inch shorter than the other, and he just used like spacers above the top tree.
Yeah.
And like I just didn't even realize it. And then one day my buddy was looking at my bike and was like, dude, look at that. And I looked at it, I was like, wow, I can't believe I like put this together and wrote it and like didn't even see that.
That's funny.
Pookie shaved the lowers for me. Like I said, I did all the molding. Canyon did the framework. I bought the tank at the swap meet, and it had like the tabs. Someone had molded them, which is cool. I just felt like it went good with what I was doing anyways.
Yeah.
I also just like, I think Sportster tanks are like, they're just so classic.
Yep.
I've never really been a Wassel guy, or I've always wanted a split tank bike, and I kept the split tank mount under, so if I ever wanted to, because in my mind, like I really want a split tank like wide glide bike one day. I think they're like so cool. Cody made the air filter. It's like a distributor cap that he machined to fit over the linker, which I think is super cool.
Is there a filter in there? Or is
No,
it just blocks the big stuff from getting sucked
just
out?
blocks the big stuff. I've always ran them open.
Yeah.
I have the magneto. I've never had not a magneto on it. But the bike starts really well and runs good. I've gone through like a few condensers, but nothing major with it. I just have like a standard Lee clutch. I don't know which one it is. It's an older one for sure. Works great. And just the 5-finger clutch with like a BDL belt drive. It's like a pretty foolproof system.
Yeah.
I've never ran a primary. They just seem like every time we're on a trip and someone has like a primary and then they break down, it just takes so much longer to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
But now I kind of want one on the next bike because I think they look really sweet, but I don't really love I don't know. I can't see myself putting one on anytime soon. I'm super stoked on the pipe. I just bought it from some dude on Instagram and like sold me for like $300 shipped from Florida. Yeah, I've always been a fan of 2-in-1s, whether they're on like performance bikes or on choppers or whatever. Just like it's like the way motorcycle pipe should be.
Yeah.
I bought the seat from my buddy Christian like 5 years ago for $50.
That was on one of the big Christmases, right?
Yeah. I ran that same seat on the long bike for a long time, and I don't know. I've never like it. Kind of looks silly, but it's comfortable, and I always think the chopper, the ultimate definition of whether the bike is good or not is how it looks when it's being ridden.
Yeah.
And I think that gives you a lot of leeway with seats because when you're riding it, you know, you can't. So, like, I don't really care that I have, like, some fat, ugly seat because I think, like, you can't really tell and it's comfy. But, yeah, it's kind of straight to the point. Like, I don't really have too many. Like, there's nothing, like, it's not one of those bikes that the cooler, like, the longer you look at it, the cooler it gets. Yeah. Which would be cool if it was, but I don't know. It's nice. It feels good. It's like the first time I've ever like done it all myself, which was cool. I mean, I definitely had like help with some stuff. Like my, when I was putting the motor in, I was tightening the motor mount, like on the rear cylinder. I like tightened it a little too much, and like a big chunk came out, and like Cody like broed out and just like fixed it for me, like in like literally an hour. Like it was crazy. Like he just brought over the welder and was like, I had to go get some parts. I had to get like some rear brake parts from a dude that was like a half an hour away, and Cody like, dude, just go get them. And I got on the dyna, and like when I came back, he was like almost done. And it was like the most bro, like it was so cool. Like it was so sick. And then the tranny's chrome, which I think is cool. But it's all like covered in oil, so you like can't even really tell.
Yeah. Have you ever washed it?
Yeah, dude, I power wash it all the time because I'm trying to figure out where it leaks from, and I can't.
So with the V4 that's coming, is there going to be any motor work done, or?
Yeah, I want to reseal everything. I mean, it runs so good, I don't think I need to get anything rebuilt, but I kind of want to for good measure.
Yeah.
We did a new main shaft in my tranny. Jan did that like a year ago. And then I did like the super nut, and then like the whole thing to try and like a new 4th gear bushing to like stop it from leaking. But oh yeah, that was the only thing that happened when I got hit was my main shaft bent on the tranny when I got hit a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So they like hit me pretty hard to bend that, but somehow like I didn't go down. Like I don't, so bizarre. But yeah, that's my Panhead.
Yeah, I mean, classic bike, simple. That's what we like to see. Do you have any really, like, if you have one memory from a trip on it, what comes to mind?
I don't know. I mean, there's been some good ones this year on it. Me and all the homies rode to Santa Cruz this year. And I hadn't touched it from a technical standpoint in a while, and like wasn't really sure, and it ended up just running perfect the whole time. It's like 1,000-mile trip, round trip, or 800 miles or something, and that was really cool. But other than that, I mean, it's just nice, like, it's just nice having a chopper that is reliable, and I don't know, it's not, like, with the aftermarket frame and, like, everything, I'm not super worried about. Like, if I had, like, a knucklehead or something, I'd be so stressed if I messed anything up, but this, like, feels pretty, it just feels safe, I guess.
Yeah, any memorable breakdowns?
Sometimes
you were stranded, had to sleep on the side of the road, nothing like that?
We were riding to Kern one time when it was in the long frame, and my push rods just, like, kept getting loose, like, every 100 miles, and I remember, like, I would just start running on one cylinder, and then I'd come out, and then my front exhaust push rod would just be, like, out of the tappet, and then I would just, like, adjust it, and then it would just, like, happen again. But not really anything too serious. Like, I don't think I've ever had to put my bike... When I was on the Santa Cruz trip, that same thing happened. My push rod came out, and I was in the back, and we had a chase truck, and it was 105 degrees on the 101, and like I was just like, dude, I'm gonna do this at the gas station. I put it in the truck for 40 miles, adjusted them at the gas station, and then rode the rest of the trip. But I don't think besides then, I don't think my bike's ever been in the truck besides when I got hit or when I crashed.
Yeah,
I don't. One time I was riding on Highway 2, and my spark plug wire came out of my magneto. And for some reason, I thought I didn't have gloves on. And for some reason, I thought going like 50 miles an hour, I could just like push it back in. And I just electrocuted the hell out of my hand. But yeah, nothing like, it's honestly been pretty ease of ownership. I really, really want to do like a long trip on it and earn my stripes. And like, you know, I've never gone outside of California on it or done anything like, you know, I mean, the longest was like 4 or 5 nights. So I want to do like a real trip. I mean, everybody wants to like ride their bike across the country and stuff, you know, so that would be cool. Hopefully the next version, I'll be able to get some real seat time. But other than that, it's been like an absolute dream.
That's perfect. Sounds like you have a simple, just fucking bomber. Is there anything else you want to talk about with it?
I think I'm good, dude. It's been 30 minutes.
Yeah, well.
longest chopper check yet.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Well, it sounds like we have V4 coming in the next day or two, so we'll see when that gets dropped on the internet. Maybe we'll have another chopper check for that one down the road.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.